Welcome back, everybody, unless this is your first video, and if it is, do consider hitting that old subscribe button and the notification bell. It helps the channel out greatly. You guys have been absolutely killing it in the past couple of videos, and because the train show video was so incredibly popular, we're going to cover that once again. We are fast encroaching on 100 subscribers, and I cannot thank you guys enough. In fact, I have a very fun video planned for the 100 subscriber mark. Hopefully we'll be able to drop that here next week, maybe even sooner, who knows, but stay tuned for that. For now, let's go ahead and get into it. Like I said, we're covering another train show. This one was a little bit different than the last, I say, so to speak. The last one was more of an expose. This one was more of a, like I guess a swap meet type of situation, but I did pick up a few things for the channel, and we will cover those towards the end of this video. They are going to be a ton of fun. But per usual, there were displays. People had their trains set up for us to view, and one of the things we're going to open up with here today is one of my absolute favorite HO layouts of the whole show. It was just phenomenal. Had a few really interesting, I guess, unique caveats to it that just made it substantially fun to watch. And now most of this layout is made by individual people, but you can see where there's a lot of cohesiveness. Now as we get up here to the spur, I was told this spur is brand new. This is the first time this has been seen at any show, and you can tell it looks absolutely pristine. I mean, beyond much compare. And we're going to quickly jump over here to easily one of my favorite sections of the track. Now, if you look closely, you guys will notice a keen amount of detail in this. I mean, just a really unique piece of track. Everything on this appears to be, at least to my eye, hand-laid. And you can see these kind of crossovers, these intersections that are all curved. You don't really buy those in store. Those almost have to be handmade. Just phenomenal amounts of detail. I was talking with the gentleman that was actually operating the train at the time, and he was telling me these curves are, I believe, an 11-inch radius, which is super duper tight. But you'll notice a lot of the trains they have running out here, with the exception of the Dash 9. At least I believe that's a Dash 9. I didn't ask. I'm making an assumption. I'd have to go back and look at it again, but with the exception of that one, most everything was pretty small scale. Now, as we jump over to this next section here, this is my favorite. We're going to spend a lot of time on this one little mountainous area, because this is very similar to something I've wanted to do on my layout. I just never really had an idea for how to capture this. You will notice that these turns are exceptionally tight. And I mean exceptionally tight. Like, they are just, I mean, you couldn't get a vice that tight. It is crazy. I believe he said these are 7-inch radiuses. I mean, just, I don't know how they managed. It's just one of the craziest things. And to think that they've got locomotives and cars that actually operate on a 7-inch radius. For people that might be new at this whole thing, on my layout, I've got an 18-inch radius. An 18-inch radius is far too tight for most of my locomotives. I've had to modify my trains quite a bit just to operate on them. And to think this is a 7-inch radius. Next level, completely next level. And it looks effortless here. That's what's really interesting about this to me. One of the conversations I had, I've often wanted to do a bit of what they call HON30 or HON3, which is narrow gauge. HON30 is literally, if you guys are familiar with N scale, that's the next level down. We'll look at some N scale layouts here shortly. In fact, at the last train show we were at, the very last layout they had was on N scale. The tracks are literally 9 millimeters, which is why they call it N, 9 millimeters wide. So very tiny tracks, and HON30 is designed to run on N scale track, but is modeled in 1:87 scale, which is HO. So it's made to represent like logging communities, mining, things like that. And I was talking to this gentleman, I'm kind of, asking questions like, why did you not do this in HON3 or HON30 or something of that nature? And he brought up a really interesting point. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to capture it on camera. But at the bottom of all these rail cars, there are significant modifications that they've had to make just to get the wheels to clear the couplers. They've had to shim the couplers, they've had to like move the wheels back a little bit, they've had to do all kinds of work just to get the trains to clear this. And you will notice it looks effortless. You have no idea how much work has actually gone in to getting a railroad to operate in something this just tiny. I mean, it is just, I want to say gargantuan, but really the opposite of that. It blows me away. Normally I'd be making jokes. This is just mind-blowing to me. And he brought up a really valid point, and he said unless you find some way to raise the trucks and keep the couplers at a solid height, there's no way that N-scale trucks will be able to clear the couplers or any of the mechanisms. Now, I think I've come up with a solution. I think we can still make it work. It would take a lot of effort. I mean, you're talking like an insane amount of effort for basically just for the purpose of doing narrow gauge. But I really do want to do narrow gauge on our layout at some point. So I don't know, guys. Let me know what you think in the comments down below, I guess. But nevertheless, we have a really interesting layout here, and this is just, like I said, I spent probably close to an hour just watching this and being frankly enamored by the ingenuity and the ability to make something so tiny and so intricate yet so seemingly effortless. Now, this track is not scratch built. This track is mostly there's a few scratch built parts of it. It is mostly flex track, and in fact, the suspension bridge right here, this is a kit apparently. At least that's what he told me. But they are, as you noticed there at the beginning, running live loads. This is actually sand. I'm sure extremely fine sand, probably modeling sand. But it is a live sand load that is loaded up, and we'll see it actually dumping here in a moment. But first, let's jump over to the other freight cars here. So as we kind of further down this, venture further down this layout here, you'll see there's a big loop here at the end, and I want to emphasize each and every one of these panels is made by, if not somebody different, it's made by an individual, and they each have put their own flair into this. In fact, I'd be willing to bet this is made by the same person that made that spur track earlier. And it kind of goes into this old rustic track, which actually was probably made by the same person that made the logging community. We do have a passenger train here, passenger steam train. Love me some steam, guys. I know we're modeling more of a modern era, 1960s-ish, but I'm going to be incorporating steam in my layout because I utterly love steam. Problem is to make a lot of things I want to happen on my layout, we're going to have to use some slightly more modern cars. I think late 1960s is going to be it. So we're going to have to dispel a little bit of disbelief and pretend like steam is still operating. Or I guess I'll come up with a story. I'm a pretty good story writer, so we'll come up with some kind of a story. I love this Heisler. If you guys didn't watch the video on the train museum, Heislers are one of my favorite styles of locomotive. It's the one that almost looks like a motorcycle engine. It's like a V-twin type of situation going on, but it is a steam locomotive. And if you go back and look at that locomotive, you'll see the two cylinders coming out of the sides, and then it's geared a lot like a Shay or a Climax, but it's just a very unique way to, in fact, I believe this is a Shay that we're following right now. But it is a geared locomotive. It is not a conventional style of locomotive, but I love those. I don't know why I'm not following it. I should have been following the Heisler, but yeah, we got a Shay and we got a passenger train. Everything else is freight. I had to follow the passenger train for a while too. So as we bid adieu to the passenger train, we get back to a dash, I think it's a dash 8, dash 8, dash 9. I honestly don't know. I'm not up on my modern locomotives, unfortunately. From this distance, I hate to say, but dash 8, dash 9, I couldn't tell you the difference. I'm terrible. I'm the worst. I'm sure I'm going to get eaten live in the comments for that, but I'm more about some of the older locomotives. So I want to show you guys a little bit more of this layout because there's some pieces here on the inside that were completely missed. We got a couple of, I believe those are Jeeps back there, and just some really nice little industrial areas. This is that spur as they kind of break off to the left. This is the inside area that was a little hard to get to, that I got special permission to come in here and film, and it looks just phenomenal. Nice little industry here. Like I said, a lot of attention to detail, and these are all separate panels that people have individually made, once again, that just kind of, you know, stick together. I love this idea. I'd love to build one of these, join a community here at some point and build one, but we got to finish our layout first. Oh, I said we need to get started on our layout. You don't obviously have to finish it, but it's going to take years to finish what I want to do. But, ooh, we say hello to the Heisler again. Why are we not spending more time with him? Come on, go catch up with the Heisler. Come on. There we go. We'll do the faux drone shot here. Drone shot of a steam locomotive, just like they would have had back in the late 18th, early 20th century. Because, you know, that's the thing. Before aviation was even a thing, we had drones. Little did you know. That is, I guess, the story going here. I told you guys I was a spectacular story writer. You doubted me. You dared to doubt me, but there we are, proof of it. Now this is really cool here. So I told you guys I was going to show you some of the live loads. And so we saw earlier they were loading up that sand, and now he's going to unload it. And check this out. He's got this kind of roto dumper that just tilts the whole car up. Now you can buy roto dumpers and things like that, but clearly if that's not scratch made, it is pretty darn close. Let's move on and look at some O gauge.
Fish in there. That's the aquarium one.
This is a test track. We can't play with this. This doesn't do. If somebody brings a train to it, they don't sit the doors. We put it over here and sit the doors.
That's
Being smaller than you go.
Make it go. Let's go find Daddy because they already walked out. You want to leave it on?
Now, normally I wouldn't have included the audio in that previous clip, but there were a lot of things that were really unique there, and I didn't want to voice over that. I just wanted it to kind of happen natural. But if you guys remember at the last train show, we actually saw this layout. This guy's got these little, like, this cartridge system for feeding trains into his operational layout. There's a specific name for this. I'm going to learn a bit here about this layout. But this is really, really neat. It's just an example of how you can have basically an operational layout and a pretty small confined area. And it's really, really, really detailed. There's a lot that clearly went into this. In fact, I forget what we'll see it here in a moment. But this is a certain style of modeling that basically allows you to build up your model piece by piece and time at a time, little by little, and you know, over time. So more or less what he's done here is he started with this kind of Y area, and he's got that the feeder track. I say it's not really a track, it's just kind of a cartridge that he attaches just alligator clips to, feeds the train cars in, and then he's built this other section over here that's more of like an industrial area, and they go together. This is supposed to be like home modeling, but with the same basic premise as these guys build the traveling models with, and you can just kind of build it up little by little. In fact, here's a third section that he's currently working on. Toma, that's what it's called. So very interesting process. Very similar to what I have in mind, because I do think inevitably I'm going to need to move mine at some point. Like, I don't think we're going to live in this house forever, and I wouldn't mind building the giant attic playroom and all that stuff. I say playroom, but I mean, it's literally be a game room / train room / whatever. It's going to be an adult playroom. So I guess from phrasing on that one. But I need to build mine so it's fairly modular. So I really love this guy's style and what he's kind of brought to the table here. It's just extraordinarily interesting. Now, we did see this one at the last show too, but we only saw maybe 2 or 3, I think, of the total like 5 panels that they actually have here. This is ON30. If the track looks like HO scale, it very, very much is. It's code 100, but the ties and everything, and even the buildings and the trains and everything, are modeled for O scale. So what this is this is a narrow gauge form of O scale called ON30. You heard me talk earlier about HON30. HO literally stands for half O. At least that's what I've always been told. If that's not true, my apologies, but that's just literally what I've always been told. So this is O scale modeled at HO track to represent a narrow gauge situation. And in this case, it's this guy's little mining village, or logging village, I guess, as it turns out. And a lot of these areas, a lot of these little logging mining villages or whatever, would be based around a narrow gauge track. As narrow gauge, you can have smaller radii, and you can they were just a little bit less expensive to build, and that narrow gauge had a few advantages. Obviously, the main disadvantage is you can't just go switch over to a Series 1 track very easily. Obviously, they do make good dual gauge track and all that kind of stuff. But this is really cool. I love ON30. I just love everything about narrow gauge. And so I really, really, really wanted to get as much as I could out of this, because this is just not something you see every day. And a really beautiful build. These are our friends over at Legacy Station. If you guys saw the video back in December, I randomly found this place. I was looking for parts for my trains, and I just found this really cool little shop, and they were really nice, really helpful. They mostly cater to Lionel and O scale, but they have a little bit of everything. In fact, I just bought some track for them recently. It should be arriving tomorrow for a 100 subscriber special that I planned. But really cool. And what I love about this little setup here, and the reason I really wanted to display this, is because all these houses are scratch built out of cardboard, and they're using these little My Little Pony figures, which I think is just absolutely phenomenal. Just the ingenuity is just great. I love that about the hobby. And of course, the Lego trains are back. I'm not going to spend as much time as I did on the last show, but you guys know I adored this setup, and I adore the ingenuity. They brought, I say, more trains. They've got this, I believe that's a GP9, I think. It's hard to tell. It's Legos. But they don't have like the big future section and all that. It's about half the size. of their last setup. In fact, I was talking with him for a while about what it takes to set this up, and apparently this whole setup took, unless I'm mistaken, I believe it was 5 hours just to set up, and then like another hour or so just to get it operating the way they wanted it. And to be sitting here for 2 days with that much setup time shows how dedicated these guys are to Legos in general, but even just this Lego model railroad thing. Of course, I love these buildings. I love that library. You'll recognize a lot of the models and buildings and things like that from the last show. There's not a lot that's new, though we get a better shot of the anybody that knows the Time Bandits knows this building. Just absolutely love that. I love these little tiny touches. I believe that building was nestled like deep in the heart of the city last time, so now it's kind of out in the open to see. And I once again, that's the one thing I love about Lego, and the fact that we now have Lego trains and all that stuff, is every single time you set this up, it could be just a tiny bit different, and I adore that. And of course, we've got Ghost Rider there, and a working Ferris wheel. Pretty cool stuff. Absolutely cannot get enough of that. And the track kind of continues around this way. I don't know where the train went. I thought it was over here, but I think at this point they'd actually stopped when we may have had a derailment or something. But we'll catch back up with them here in just a few moments. And you just have to appreciate the ingenuity and the amount of work that went into this setup. Here we've got, once again, the big chicken. And I'm telling you guys, they really need to send that big chicken to Lego. Like, I know it's just a weird Atlanta thing, but I think people outside of Atlanta still kind of understand and know what it is. I mean, when we moved to Atlanta, it was one of the things that my family wanted to go see, which I thought was just insane. I just think this whole thing is just so cool. You know what? You guys let me know. Would you guys like a video where we just go visit this group as they're doing builds? I think it's the third Thursday of the month or something like that. I got a card from it. We can go look it up. But if you guys want, we can do a night where we just go visit them and check it out. I know it probably won't be too terribly train related, but I love Legos. Sorry. That's one of the things we do around the house here is we play with a lot of Legos. If we're not playing with trains, we're probably playing with Legos. And we don't necessarily have to be playing with HO trains. We have an insane Brio setup. Man, we should bring our Brio setup to one of these shows at some point. That would be... Let me know if you'd like to see that, because I've got a 6-year-old and his Brio... He's got Brios and Trackmasters, and they're all intertwined. And it's overtaken his entire bedroom. It's really cool to watch him work. But... Let me know if you guys would like to see that. Maybe we'll do that. We'll set something up at one of these train shows and just bring this massive Brio setup. That'd be fun. Sound off in the comments if you want to see that. That'd be awesome. At least me personally. I think it'd be pretty cool. There we are. There's the steam locomotive. Very, very, very cool. I don't think they had these when I was a kid. I mean, right now they're just extremely expensive even for today. If I was to spend that kind of money, I'd just buy some more trains. Speaking of which, we finally get to the sale portion of the show. And I'm telling you, you can see around here, there was so much to look at. But I was on a mission today. I'm looking for very specific things. I'm looking for things either for the new layout, which is why I'm looking at these people. If you guys didn't see the video that I dropped on the new layout, one of the big things that's going to be part of that layout is a San Francisco style cable car. I know, not terribly prototypical, but I just think they're really cool. I've had it laying around for a while, and so I put a bunch of people in it, and I really fell in love with it. So we're going to have one of those in the layout. Fight me in the comments if you don't like it, but yeah, it's my trains. Come on. But I'm really looking forward to it, and I just love adding these little miniatures to the layout, and I love having this little bustling city idea. Who likes hats? I like hats. And they had this, they had a full-on signal here. As technically, it's not called a 7x4 anymore, but yeah, pretty cool stuff. Piles, and I mean piles and piles and piles of unbuilt buildings. And I mean dirt cheap, guys. Like, ridiculously dirt cheap. This down here was like a box of old Tyco. I think it was Tyco. Tyco or Lifelike. 6 one half, just the other. But super cheap. And lots and lots and lots and lots of buildings. Some N scale there, some HO. Even some O's you saw there. A little bit of everything at the show. And they do this, I believe, twice a year. So we'll be back. Oh, this guy was phenomenal. We're gonna. I like to build my own stuff, but from time to time there are things that I just want to pick up and put in. I love the clam. Is that the clam box? Looks like a little takeout box. This little farm here. This builder was exceptional. Exceptional. So when it comes to some of the feature things that I'm not gonna have time to build, or maybe just want to commission out for whatever reason, we're gonna be hitting these people up. They do exceptional work. And of course, it just wouldn't be a train show if there wasn't a big boy for sale. Really want a big boy at some point, but I'm going to be honest, I think I'm going to hold off and buy one. Ooh, these B series units. I was in the market for an Atherin Blue Box F7B. And, well, we'll get to that towards the end here. Lots and lots of train cars. I mean, lots and lots of train cars. I need to start filling up some space with train cars. It sounds crazy, but I really need to get some train cars. I have a whole rail yard idea for the layout. If you haven't seen the layout video, check it out. I'm waiting. I just got to fix the plumbing, and we'll get to that. The N scale setup. Yes. Okay, so we're mostly past the sale floor. I was running out of time, guys. Unfortunately, we only had 3 hours at the show today. And then they were shutting down. So as they were literally closing down around me, I was able to get some shots of this. This is the N scale setup that was at the last show, but it's set up a little bit differently. They've got some similar things that you've seen before and some other stuff that you may not have. And it's in a whole different configuration, which is one of the things I love about these big mobile setups, is that every single time they set it up, it's just that it can be a little tiny bit different. And I adore that. I cannot get enough of that. Speaking of big boys, actually hard to tell. Is that a Challenger or is that a big boy? I think it's a big boy. I couldn't see how many wheels there were. No comment on that. I mean, it is what it is. Everybody's got their thing. Everybody models their own stuff. I can't be mad. I'm more of just freight and passengers, but you know what? It's unique. It's different, and I can't be mad. I love this little valley. I think this was at the last show, but I don't think I really got a good close-up of the detail they've got here. And I want to emphasize, this is N scale. You know, like 9mm tracks. So those are tiny figures, tiny features. And the level of detail they've gotten in there is just unbelievable. Just totally next level. And they've improved the kaiju fight. I say improved. Expanded the kaiju fight. There's a little more going on here. Got the 98 Godzilla versus classic Godzilla and King Kong. What do you want? You gotta have fun with it at the end of the day. Oop. Here's a dash 9? Dash 8? I don't know. Actually, I think those are dash 9s. I think it might be the difference. I could be wrong. But big, long coal train. I mean, insanely long coal train. Pretty cool stuff. We really need to get a Digitrack set up, but get a DCC set up on the new layout. It's going to improve things immensely. You'll see what I mean when it comes to the 100 subscriber video. It's gonna be It's going to be a mess without DCC, but yeah, it'll be fun nonetheless. Oh, yeah, I believe that's a Genesis locomotive on a obviously an Amtrak train. And there's Stone Mountain again. And this little train's really neat. That, I believe, is a Japanese train, I think. It's the same guy that brings the Shinkansen and a couple other trains. He's got some really neat Kato units that I don't even think are available in the States. They're really, really, really cool. And we're back to HO scale. We're going to finish this little tour out with this HO scale setup. Unfortunately, like I said, they were shutting down around me, but nevertheless, I was able to get a few more things here. I think that's 840. That's not 844. Yeah, Union Pacific. It's 844. I think. I could be. Maybe I'm wrong on that. It's hard to tell sometimes when you're just filming these so quickly. But yeah, they still had stuff running for us. You know, they were, as I said, amidst shutting down, but they still were running quite a few things. And this is what I love. It's just people having fun. And to me, that's just the best part about all this, is just your imagination and what you're able to do with it. This right here blew me away. Look at the detail in this. They had this lower track down here. I believe that's standalone. Saturn Gorge, is that what that is? Just huge. Obviously the centerpiece of this. I mean, really, I don't want to say puts everything else to shame, but it kind of does. And we've got just a little village here, a little something going on over there. This little bridge section. This is how they get in and out. It just kind of is their little doorway, so to speak, to the interior. And we're going to go into this massive rail yard. And there's a few things that are worth noting here. You'll see that they are cleaning up around me, unfortunately. But I believe this is, I say this, you know, the other piece is the centerpiece, but this, I believe, it was made by the, ooh, check this out. This is, you guys know I love my gas electric turbines. And there's a big blow. Very cool. I like that a lot. I need to find a tender for my veranda. I've been looking for it forever and a day, and I've yet to find one. I every once in a while I can jump on eBay and whatnot. Oh, love the little high rail. Love the high rail. Unfortunately, as you know, some of these guys go when they have little tiny pickups. Sometimes it gets stuck like that. I didn't want to mess with it too much. Obviously, it's not mine, but love the little high rail going around there. It was really, really fun. And he was DCC too. It shocked me how small some of these DCC decoders are. But yeah, DCC decoder and a high rail, very cool. And you can just see how unbelievably massive all that was. And we're back around to the turntable, so very neat. So unfortunately, I just ran out of time to finish filming the show. There were so many great setups, and unfortunately, there was a giant sales floor, as you saw there, and I only had an opportunity to go through so much of it because not only was I filming, I was also there with my family, and you know, my family's all into trains. In fact, you can see our brand new addition right here. We have officially a Thomas train. He was a thing when I was a kid, but I was never into it. I was just legitimately into honest-to-goodness trains. But I've got a 6-year-old. He loves Thomas, and so for his 6th birthday, his grandparents, my parents, bought him a Thomas for our great little HO setup here. And we're going to have tons and tons of fun with him. I've already tried to pull the coaches from the Hornby, and yeah, that's a no-go. Thomas not gonna pull anything more than Annie and Clarabelle here. Yeah, he does not have a lot of pulling power, so don't ask Thomas to do a lot of work around this around our layout here. He's gonna go around and he has a lot of fun. His eyes move back and forth, but largely he's just kind of relegated to what he currently is, and not much, if anything, more. But he's fun. My son loves him. So let's get into the spoils of our little adventure here, because I got some absolutely just phenomenal stuff. So just for the record, I was not going out there searching for engines, but I can never turn down a good Athearn blue box deal. This is a proper Athearn. You can see that it's got, if I can pull it up here, let's see if we can get the shop light in here. You can kind of see it down there. It's not focusing very well, but it does have the flywheels. It is good, but the one thing I don't know is, does it run and drive? So let's find out. Okay, so I've got power to the track. We're running about 50%, give or take. I know for the Athearns that's not a huge amount. I've got my old... I bought this many moons ago for like 20 bucks. I mean, it's good. It's definitely not a game changer, but proof that we do have power. Come on, you. There we go. He's not all the way on the rails, is he? Maybe I need to crank it up a little more. But we do have power. I'm going to crank this up a little bit more. There we go. So now you can see we do have power. He's a little slow. Let me get him off the track here. That locomotive is a little slow. He needs some work still. I just haven't had time to open it up, and I guess we're going to have to do some major work here on him. But let's check out our other locomotive, shall we? So once again, this is an Athearn. Nevertheless, as you can see, he was $30. And I did a little negotiation, and that seller did not want to come down from 30 bucks. But he did say that this thing run and drove, and those flywheels are in great condition. At least from what I can see here. I've not opened this up at all. It does look like there was some work done on him. These look fairly new. But it does look like there was some work done, and I don't know how that is going to be represented in our final product. But let's take a look here. Let's see if we can get some power to him. The track is live, so he should pick up right away. And see some sparks. I can hear him snapping. It's very hard to do from this angle, but I can hear him. Yes. Nothing. There were some sparks. I bet you this thing's just shorting out. It might just be like a stray wire. Someone could have tried to rewire it. It does need some TLC. As you can no doubt see, every window is missing, so I'm going to order a window kit for it. It just needs some love. But for 30 bucks, I bet you just a simple rewiring and some just general maintenance will bring this thing back to life. So maybe we'll do some Athearn service here. I also picked up this one. It actually came in box, and this is the first Athearn this is the first Athearn at all, period, that I've gotten in box. So kind of nice. And you can see, also fairly well aged, but he does have all the windows. Nope, I take it back. He's missing a couple. Thought he had them all. He's got this window, but not that one. So we'll just order 2 window kits and do a little bit of work. Clean it up a little bit. I would like to get these, if anybody knows a good way to do it, so we can get this focusing. I would like to get these lights, or these numbers illuminated like they originally were on the F7s. I believe they were illuminated. They were illuminated on the E8s. I know that for certain. But I think those were illuminated on the 7s. I'm not 100%, but I'm pretty sure they were. I'd have to go do a little research. But spoiler alert, this one was $35. It was $5 more because it had the box. Once again, and actually if you look in there, it looks like the flywheels in the other one are a little bit better condition. These have a little bit of pitting and wear on them, but these are used engines. Though as you can tell, not horrendously used. They're still in fabulous condition. The horns, I mean, that's pretty much just cosmetic. We can fix that. And these are once again set to DC, not DCC. Ooh, that one's going really well. Hold up. Man, it just goes. Look at that. It just took off and went. Oh, we're slowing down around the corner. I kind of expected that. Beautiful, though. It runs. Excellent. So it derailed around the later part of the track. And then this came off, but that just pushes on, so I'm not going to lose sleep. Clearly, it needs a little bit of work because it did derail, but I bet you these are really tight radiuses, and it doesn't look like there's been any work done on these, so I probably just have to do a little bit of maintenance. But not bad for 35 bucks. It ran immediately, so I'm exceptionally happy. We're going to set that over here. And as I said, I wasn't really into buying engines, and the really nice part about those guys over there, I really wanted a 7A and a 7B, but finding a powered 7B is like nigh impossible. Though those Atherans, the 7, both A and B, use the same chassis. So if I can find an unpowered B unit, I could swap them out. That'll be pretty awesome. And the reason I went with UP is because, well, obviously we've got the GTEL, and I know it's not very prototypical, but we can actually run the B unit with a backwards A unit along with the GTEL, so long as I can get them in sync, and it'll at least look really nice. I have a project coming up that's going to require a lot of power, so that'll be a lot of fun to see. But nevertheless, we got a working locomotive. Let's check out the rest of this. Now, from this point on, you already know we spent 65 bucks. I negotiated for these, but he would not budge. So I want you to just, in the comments section, gather up what you would have paid for all these, and then we're going to take a tally at the end, and I'll tell you what I spent. You make a guess in the comments, and we'll see if you're right. But let's check out the rest of this. So next up, I was able to pick up, this is a Intermountain Railway Company. First of these I've had. First of these I've owned. There's a price tag on it, but I will warn you guys, you cannot trust the price tags. But, good looking model kit. Now this is unassembled. This is an unassembled model kit. Let me just pull this out here, though. Looks very good. Quality product. Unassembled. This came out of an estate, and obviously the former owner, rest in peace, took very good care of these. Most of these came from the same estate. I mean, phenomenal, and we'll do great justice to these in the collection. I will make sure to, anything I get from an estate sale, I don't know, I have a little emotional attachment to, and I will treat very tenderly. I'll take very good care of them. And I guess we got quite a few of these kits now, so I've got to do some assembly. So we've got quite a few of these kits, as you can kind of tell, so I guess we're going to have to do an assembly video. That might be a lot of fun. Maybe I'll do a live stream. That'd be fun. I've been looking for a reason to live stream on this channel. So this is also an Atherin Blue Box. It's hard to tell from here. I'll go get my backlight after this and see if I can set it up. Just a standard Canadian Pacific gondola car. Nothing really overly special. Just a neat little, as the focus kind of goes crazy here, just a very neat little little train car. I like it. And it came with, let's see, I believe this one came with plastic wheels and let's see, yeah, oh no, those are metal wheels. Metal wheels, and they're the OG couplers. So we'll have to get some KD couplers for that. So sorry, the lighting's a little different, but I think it's going to work a little bit better. I found my magnifier, and I'm going to use it as a ring light. So now, I'm a big beer drinker. I love me some beer. And so seeing a beer car, I couldn't say no. Also, Atherin Blue Box. And you'll note, I mean, it's once again in pretty good condition. This one's semi-assembled. It needs a little tiny bit of work. I believe this is the one. I don't really want to open it up too much. No, this must not be the one, because this looks like it's pretty well sealed. One of these actually came with KD couplers and metal wheels, but very cool car. Cannot wait to get this one assembled. This one is going to be one we're gonna run a lot. I mean, I'm not necessarily a big fan of, like big box beer, but I absolutely love me some microbrews, and this is so cool. Here's another interesting one. This comes from... I don't know. Bowser. But yeah, it's a little before my time. I'm not familiar with that manufacturer. But a very nice model. I will not be using these. I'm not much for prototypicality, but if we're going to run a load, I'm either going to glue a load so it looks prototypical, or run a live load. I ran a live load the other day for a picture, and I actually fell in love with the effect, so yeah, we will do as much of that as possible. But very cool little open hopper here. This one, you can tell this box is exceptionally old. In fact, it probably looks like there's some mold down there. Yeah, so I probably need to get rid of this box. But it's already running metal wheels, so there's been some love put into this kit. I'll have to see what I need to do with that, because if there's mold in there, I need to get rid of it. But I'm going to set this over here for now. And I loved it so much and they were priced so well, I couldn't help but pick up a second one. Literally the same kit. Box does not have mold. The coal load fell on the floor, but okay, those are actually plastic wheels on metal axles, so we'll have to find some metal wheels for them, but very cool. I really do love these models. There's the coal load, like I said, but I don't think we're going to run that. I'm probably going to run something else in them. I'll save all these. I'm not going to throw anything away. Nothing's going to get scrapped. And even the trees, I'll keep them in at least one of the boxes if I scrap the other box. But we'll keep the fake coal loads and all that, just so everything's with them. But at the end of the day, I'm going to run what I'm going to run. Also, from the same estate sale, I came into the acquisition of this Tyco. Had to get the Tyco red box caboose. My son loved it. He loves cabooses. I think everybody does, really. But being a red box, it's the same era as our layout here. So I'm going to keep this in box for now, at least, and just enjoy it. Oh, there's the sticker. Well, you know how much this one was listed. Once again, I did some negotiation. But pretty cool. That was just obligatory. You know, gotta have at least one nice red box. I don't think I have any red box equipment around now. Everything I have is brown box. So this was mandatory. Now, I have one other thing from the estate sale, but I'm going to save it for last. These are really cool. So, the gentleman that I bought the engines from had a bunch of these little hoppers laying around. Now, obviously, there's some issues with the internals on this, but for the prices I got these, I cannot be mad. And we'll just make some loads in these and, you know, run them as such. I think that's just a weight in there, because it is definitely metal where the rest of this is plastic. So we'll have to make some kind of a load for this thing, but mini hopper, love it. And then he had a couple of these as well. This one obviously has a $5 price tag on it. And as you can see, I was doing some bargain hunting here. Now these are once again plastic wheels on metal axles, so we'll have to get some metal wheels for all of these. But a very cool little addition. This one's a little dirty on the inside, but you know, once again, they're going to get filled with loads. I do need to clean up some of the rust on these guys. There is a bit of rust on the bottom sides, but to be fair, I mean, that's kind of, we'll call it prototypical. Prototypical or patina, take your pick. Another, not quite the same, but very similar, Great Northern. Open top hopper, plastic wheels on metal axles, a little bit more patina. Almost identical. These last two, though, you will notice they are running KD couplers, which I like. Obviously, I want to run all KD couplers. In fact, one of the mods we're going to do sometime here shortly is adding a KD coupler to the front of the Southern. This one's almost identical. It is actually just kind of a palette swapped version thereof. So then we got this cool little mini hopper here, very similar to the last one. A little bit more patina on the bottom, plastic wheels, metal axles, and this one, hilariously like the last one, is actually sporting KD couplers, so that saves us a bit of a headache, but I still do want metal wheels. I'm absolutely in love with metal wheels. These are a little loose. world-endingly, but I might have to tighten those up a bit. I might also get some sprung couplers for some of these. I ran sprung couplers on one of my other box cars recently, and I love them so much. It was a game changer. So for some of these, I might upgrade to sprung, like live sprung trucks, because they're so nice. But, you know, for what I spent, I have absolutely no complaints. Another one that's extremely similar. It's just black instead of brown, and doesn't have nearly as much rust, and I don't know what that is. I don't know why this one's more clean than the last, but KD couplers, metal axles, plastic wheels. Very clean, though. This one's even probably the cleanest, nicest one of these I've gotten. And you probably guessed, but yet another open top. This one seems to have been run a lot. I do believe this one had a weight similar to this one, because there is kind of something there in a screw, but there's nothing inside, so I really just don't know. This one's got several different, like this is plastic through and through. It looks metal, but it's all plastic. Where these are, these are like metal on plastic, so some of these wheels have been replaced. This one's kind of hodgepodge, and this one, I mean, it is wobbly as the day is long. So I'll need to do some work to clean this one up quite a bit, and probably, there's a lot of play there. I could probably just tighten up that truck and it'll work. But the hardware is pretty badly rusted, so we may have to do some serious dress up on this one. But we've got a handful of other, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 other kits over there that I need to assemble, plus a few older kits, probably another dozen or so kits behind me that I've collected over time that need to get assembled. So we'll just do a whole day. Maybe I can even do a live stream of just doing some maintenance work. So that'll be a lot of fun. Now finally, this one might not mean a whole lot to most people, but this to me is really cool. And this came out of the estate sale like the other ones did. But this was from the National Model Railroad Association National Convention in Atlanta in '95. You guys don't know, I'm Atlanta local, sort of. We're a little outside the metro in my area, but close enough to make too much of a difference. And yeah, this is really sweet. There's a couple other designs. This was the Atherin design. I think there's 2 other designs. And I would absolutely love to collect those at some point. Those would be super duper fun. But this was just a really awesome find. And for what I got it for, just a stupid, insane value. So, all in all, I got this. We already know the 2 engines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 other, so 6 total boxcar kits, the 5 open top hoppers, the caboose, and, like I said, the 2 Atherin engines that were a sum total of $65. Now, place your bets down below right now. The sum total came out to be literally right at $100. Pretty darn good. Considering this bad boy alone, I want to say on eBay is going for like, $20-30 bucks. Feeling pretty good about that find there. Very, very, very happy with that. So for now, that is going to be the video. I've got to do some updates here, and you guys have been subscribing like mad. I appreciate it. So I have a 100 subscriber special that I may or may not have been working on at the show. More on that coming soon. But for now, keep subscribing, guys. Keep hitting that old like button. I appreciate all of you guys, and I'll be back with more of this really, really soon.